Miami's fire. Miami's fire. I know. I feel like I start every recap, at least lately, of the Real Housewives of Miami with the same intro. Yes, yes. I look. Miami is consistent. I don't know about those ratings. But for us, the lovers of the Real Housewives of Miami, it's been a good season, and they are consistently bringing it. They literally are here in New York City, or they're probably gone by now. But they just filmed their Real Housewives of Miami season 6 reunion, and the seating chart might surprise you. But before we get into any of that, let's get into our recap of the Real Housewives of Miami season 6, episode 12.
Baby, baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor, I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up. Cool.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. And as always, if you're listening to this on the Kempire podcast, be sure to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. But also, don't forget you are getting special additional episodes like the one that dropped earlier today, where I talk all about my Japan experience. It's a good listen. You have a lot of stuff. Just in case maybe you are waiting to the weekend to catch up, the podcast is a great way to kind of hear everything that you may have missed this week, including additional episodes like the Japan episode, like the Jessie Woo versus Tamar episode that we just dropped. Go check it out. But again, while you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. But this is what you're here for, the Real Housewives of Miami recap. But before we get into the episode, which I thought was good, how would you rate this episode? From 1 to 10. Honestly, it was such a good episode. There's so much going on personally for people, individually and collectively in this group. Of course, I had to wear my, I got this from Japan, y'all. In the Uniqlo in Japan. I just thought it was really cool. And I said, let me put it on. It's Mickey Mouse in like this sort of artistic, situation. I saw it in Uniqlo in Japan. I was like, oh, I want to get that. Who knows? I could probably get this here in New York as well, but I was like, I like it. I'm going to get it. Anyways, this episode is all about Julia and Kiki. More specifically, all of you have been asking for more of actually Kiki and her personal story. All right. So as I told you at the top of this, live recap, we had the Real Housewives of Miami reunion here in New York City. We already knew it was coming because we saw pictures of the ladies heading to New York. I also believe that they filmed or will be filming the Married to Medicine reunion this week as well. All right. But I do want to take a look at this seating chart. The seating chart that they now it's a thing on Bravo. They're sharing the seating chart ahead as the announcement of the reunion. So it's interesting because I really didn't expect it, but maybe because of the things that have played out since, with Crystal Minkoff being in the middle of this. But Guerdy and Larsa are sitting next to Andy Cohen. I don't know what happens with Larsa for the rest of the season, but I do find it interesting because it feels like at the top of this season was the beef between Guerdy and Larsa. They haven't really mentioned it since, but they, I don't think they ever resolved anything. I think Larsa was on Watch What Happens Live and said that they would finally resolve their issues at the reunion. How would you base the seating chart for yourself. Who would you have sitting next to Andy? I would definitely have Guerdy, just because I feel like Guerdy she had the drama with Larsa, but throughout this season, we're following her cancer journey. So for me, for the majority of this season, I probably definitely would put Guerdy there. Honestly, Lisa also had a very busy season, between fighting with the other ladies and, fighting with herself and her divorce, of course. I probably would have put Lisa there instead of Guerdy. I mean, not instead of Guerdy, instead of Larsa. But I guess we will have to wait and see. The producers have seen the rest of the season, so they have a better idea of, who belongs where. I mean, at this point, I don't know if there's any sort of rhyme or reason to who they put there besides who had the most dynamic season or who had the most drama during the season. But we already know that between Guerdy and Larsa, there was a lot going on. I don't know what Larsa's going to say in order to defend herself for what she did this season to Guerdy, but we shall see. We shall see. Anyways, next to, I found this to be interesting. Next to Guerdy is Alexia, and next to Alexia is Julia, or Juliana, as I like to call her. Then next to Julia, is Kiki and Marisol, which is interesting because normally you would see Julia and Adriana sitting next to each other. Very interesting. Honestly, I would have expected next to Guerdy, Dr. Nicole. You know what I mean? It's interesting. I mean, there really is no rhyme or reason on how these producers decide who's sitting where. I'm sure they have their own reasoning, but this doesn't necessarily make the most sense to me. But I guess we will have to wait and see what the rest of the season is like to see if this makes sense. I just can't imagine Dr. Nicole sitting next to Lisa. Not that they're not getting along, but it's interesting lineup of people. But okay, I guess we will have to wait and see how. I mean, we have to keep in mind the housewives don't know where they're sitting until they get out there, and they're like, "Oh, this is where I'm sitting." I think at this point, Miami, you should have all the friend doves out at the top. But I guess we will see. We don't know if it's going to be a 2-part reunion, 3-part reunion. I know Bravo is leaning more into 2-part reunions, even though we are getting a 3-part from Salt Lake City, and so far they are bringing it. If you missed our recap of part 2 of the Salt Lake City reunion, be sure to check that out on YouTube, but also you can check it out on the Kempire podcast. So I don't know. This chart did not hit for me. The seating chart did not hit for me. I do find it interesting. I really didn't even think about the seating chart for Miami, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, definitely Guerdy. I don't know about Larsa. I think I would have put Lisa. And Lisa and Guerdy have had their issues throughout the season, so I think that they could have sat across from each other. Honestly, I feel like they have the biggest storylines of the season. What does Larsa have? What does Larsa have? Her relationship with Marcus Jordan. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of seeing it. And every time we recap or talk about Miami, I always see, mind you, we don't even talk that much about Larsa. I always see people saying, Larsa can go. I don't like Larsa. I don't like Larsa. I wouldn't be surprised if Larsa didn't come back. And I know you're thinking, what do you mean she wouldn't come back? Because we have to keep in mind, Bravo also does their own focus groups. They will decide, oh, the audience is not really connected with Larsa. Because no matter how you feel about some of these other housewives, sometimes the audience connects with them. Maybe not in the most healthiest way. It might be a toxic connection. But I don't think people connect with Larsa like that. And let's be honest, I think Larsa only rents that place in Miami so she can be on the show. Her entire family and her life, she has another house in LA. Not to say that she can't be bi-coastal, but I kind of feel like that's the only reason why she's even keeping a place in Miami now. For this show. Anyways, we will revisit Miami, the reunion once it happens. Guys, be sure to let me know who you think should be sitting where during the Real Housewives of Miami Season 6 reunion. All right. So at the top of this episode, this is episode 12. So it makes sense why we're having the reunion. Honestly, sometimes I feel like I wonder how long the season's going to be if they're having the reunion and we're just seeing episode 12. So Julia is prepping for swim week. You know, last week we were talking about this. Julia and Kiki were talking about walking in swim week. So Julia goes to the designer that she's going to be walking for. They also are having Julia close the show. Can we just talk for real, for real? The reason why Julia is getting this opportunity is because she's on this show. And don't get me wrong, I've seen Julia in person. Dynamic, gorgeous woman. You could tell she is a model. All right. You remember, I think it was last season or the season before, she was talking about getting back into modeling. But let's be honest, Julia hasn't paid her dues in the modeling industry. She hasn't modeled in years. But the reason why she's getting this opportunity is because, oh, we're going to talk about this designer on this very popular show, this popular network. So it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense that's what we're going to do. Let me take my watch off, y'all. Sorry. Hey, that's the thing about the damn Apple Watch. It can be so annoying. Constant notifications. I'm just like, all right, let me take it off. Anyways, so Julia, she goes and she preps. And like I said, Julia is beautiful. She could still very much be a model. But these are the things that stick out to me that I have to mention to you during our recaps. And it's not because I know some of y'all think I don't like Julia. I don't know Julia, and neither do you. I'm just talking about what she presents on the show. But they ask her to close the show as well. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I guess maybe based off the models that they have, she's the biggest name, which isn't saying much. I mean, come on, it's not saying much, all right? But doesn't mean that Julia isn't beautiful. Julia says that, she used to be signed to the same agency as Kate Moss. When Kate Moss was discovered, she was discovered. They also show some old photos of Julia. Beautiful woman, a very nice model walk as well. I did find it interesting, though, both in Kiki and Julia's runway shows that they did, they weren't in bathing suits. It's swim week. Why weren't they in bathing suits? When we have this first scene, you see Julia try on a bathing suit. So I thought that was interesting that we didn't see them in actual bathing suits. And mind you, they both have rocking bodies, all right? Kiki at her age, which is very young, and then Julia at 50 years old. Amazing bodies. Anyways, speaking of Kiki, we were getting finally. You all have been asking for Kiki's personal story. Well, finally, we are getting it. She said she first walked in swim week when she was 15 years old. But that was also when her family kicked her out because any sort of, she says within Haitian culture, because she's from Haiti, she says anytime you're dressing, because I was thinking skanky, dressing skanky, your family, Haitian culture, she says, feels like you are a corn star. So she said her family kicked her out when she started modeling. So she said she had to really hustle on her own at 15 years old. Damn, Kiki. So I kind of get why, because Kiki has been saying for a long time since she started with this reboot that she wants her mojito. That's because Kiki is hustling. She's still hustling. And not hustling in a bad way. Some people will hear hustling. Like, what do you mean hustling? Like she's working overtime to secure her future. And yeah, she's done well for herself as a model. But Kiki, we didn't really know Kiki, but besides her being on the show. So there are levels to modeling. There are the Naomi Campbells of the world. And then there are the Kikis that have consistent modeling careers. And you may have seen her face before, but you probably didn't know her name. Now you do because of this show. Chanel Ayan, another one who's modeled before, but we didn't really know of Chanel like that. Maybe you knew her face. You may have seen her catalog and stuff, but you didn't really know her till this show. Doesn't take away from them being stunning women. And of course, they should have probably been known because look how stunning they are. Look at those walks. They have amazing walks. Anyways, so we get to know a little bit more about Kiki's story, how she got started, her getting kicked out at 15 years old, how she had to make a name for herself during that time. Very hurt. You see her get emotional during her scenes. All right. So Guerdy. So Guerdy speaks with Russell about, they go out on a lunch date and she's preparing for her next surgery. And she's just telling Russell's like, there better not be a third surgery because I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing it. She also says she doesn't want to do a mastectomy as well. It's like, because I'm sure they're going through all of, this is what we might have to do. And Guerdy's already over it. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. I get it. I mean, I don't necessarily, because I've never been through something like this, but I can only imagine where you have to do all of these things in order to treat this cancer. All right. So she's frustrated and she's expressing that frustration to Russell. And Russell's sort of like, well, you got to do what you got to do. But Guerdy's like, I'm not, if there's a third surgery, I do not want to do it. Look, I say this every week. I'm just grateful that Guerdy's even sharing this journey with us. She didn't have to, but I'm grateful that she is sharing it. And again, I always have to remind you guys, we found out at BravoCon that she's cancer free. Come on. Cancer free. But I can't tell you, and I'm sure you're very much like me, every week when we go through these journeys, when we see her tear up, I'm tearing up too. Look, even though I know she's all healthy, but to see the journey. All right? All right. Speaking of journeys, another reason why I feel like Lisa should have probably had the seat next to Andy at the reunion, because for me, it's Guerdy and Lisa's storylines that are carrying the season. Let's be honest. All right? So Lisa goes shopping for a new place. So as you know, Lisa's going through her divorce. Apparently, during this time, her and Lenny were very close to some sort of settlement, including her getting some sort of property. But she says we've seen this of Lenny. I believe this, that he's vindictive. He probably still wants to sort of control Lisa any way that he can, even though he's not with her anymore. He's very toxic. Lisa's probably better off him no longer being in her life. Unfortunately, they have kids together, so he will forever be in her life, at least until those kids are 18 years old. All right? So Lisa goes shopping for a new place with Jody, who she told us on Watch What Happens Live, he's paying half her rent. But this property that she goes to look at, which, we love to go look at property, especially in Miami. Okay, all right, let's go. Nice place, but she's used to having a sprawling mansion. And she's like, these rooms seem so small. She's like, I actually prefer it. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're not fooling us, Lisa. But it's okay. This home, though, is like $5 million. And he's like, so how do you want to proceed with something like this? And this is where it leads to a conversation about, we were close to a settlement. It really is going to depend on what the settlement looks like, on what she can purchase and what she will be able to afford. Again, I know Jody is her rock during this time. I think it's too soon to be sharing so much of your life with this man that you are just getting into a relationship. You literally are not even divorced yet. You know what I mean? But that's just how I feel. He has stuck it out, and now he's paying half her rent. Okay, girl. Maybe you know better than me. Look, because no one's paying half my mortgage. So, whoa, 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 Kempire, whoa, whoa, whoa. Anyways, all right. So we have that scene. Great. We get to see some property. Julia's runway show. We immediately go into Julia's runway show. There's a separate VIP area where the other ladies go to hang out and to support. Dr. Nicole she confronts Adriana about bringing Anna. So look, do I think that Dr. Nicole is innocent? I've said the last couple of weeks, I don't believe that she was completely innocent. But according to Dr. Nicole, when she's spoken to Anna, she's only mentioned things about Marisol. But the thing she mentioned about Marisol and the warning that she gave her about Marisol, she's like, I don't need you to tell me that. I already know because based on what I've dealt with. But it seems like Dr. Nicole wants to be in a good place with Alexia and Marisol. And she confronts Adriana about Adriana's intentions and motives because she found out from Julia that Adriana brought Anna there to expose the financial issues that Alexia is going through. In all fairness, Dr. Nicole says that I didn't know. I didn't know about any of that. So as soon as Alexia and Marisol are there, she wants to put it to bed and say that I didn't know about any of this stuff. Marisol's not falling for it. She's like, all right, we'll talk about it. All right. So they decide to move on from that, and they end up going to Julia's runway show. They go sit to watch the runway show. Great, wonderful. Julia looks great. She closes the show. Wonderful. Look, Julia's story is inspiring because she says because of Martina's cancer journey, it kind of makes her more motivated to do some of the things that she's been wanting to do. Okay, wonderful. Let's move on. So after that show, They're going to go to Kiki's show. However, they end up having a conversation, Alexia and Marisol, and Dr. Nicole's just like, I didn't know. I had nothing to do with this. And Adriana admits what she was bringing Anna there to do. They kind of brushed over what she said because I was like, Alexia, did you hear what she said? That she brought Anna there to expose your financial stuff? Lars was the one who said, so why did you bring Anna? Like she's doing the production right now. Why did you bring Anna? All right. But one thing I'm going to give to Adriana, she is speaking the truth because we've been saying this, why Marisol and Alexia do not see it for Dr. Nicole. But she puts it differently. She says, Alexia is mad and jealous of Dr. Nicole because Dr. Nicole is the real Barbie. Dr. Nicole is the real Barbie because Dr. Nicole owns these sprawling mansions. She's dresses really, really nice. She has a great career. She's like, Alexia's renting. Alexia's having financial problems. And look, we've been saying this. We've been feeling this way about why Alexia and Marisol feel the way that they feel about Dr. Nicole. And they feel even worse because not only does Dr. Nicole have all of those things, Dr. Nicole has become a fan favorite from the Real Housewives of Miami. Let's be honest. And I told you that Alexia, this is what Alexia's been trying to change this season. She wanted to change the whole narrative around her from last season because a lot of people did not like Alexia last season. I'm not sure how people feel about Alexia this season. I think people are feeling a little bit better about Alexia. But I do think that Alexia, she will say that she genuinely wants to have her own friendship with Julia. But I think that was also selective and why she tried to make amends with Dr. Nicole and become friends with Julia this season. I think it was all strategic, to be honest with you. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Guys, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and we've partnered with Rose Forever once again to give you a $40 off discount with the discount code Kempire40. And don't forget, you can get free worldwide shipping with the discount code Influencer. Rose Forever is a great option for a birthday, anniversary, or for Valentine's Day because these roses will last you up to a year, if not longer, depending on how you take care of them. And look, there's not a lot to take care of them. You don't have to do a lot. They give you all the instructions on how you can keep your roses looking fresh. Look at my beautiful roses. You can do the same. You can get something for yourself, get something for your loved ones, whoever it may be. More information on how you can get some Rose Forever this holiday season for Valentine's Day will be available in the description of this video or episode if you're listening to this. Thank you to Rose Forever for sponsoring this video. All right, moving on. So they go to Kiki's runway show. All right. Kiki looks great. Again, I don't understand why Kiki wasn't in a bathing suit. Amazing body. Why? Anyways, but Kiki's runway walk, I was like, yes, Kiki, look at that runway walk. All right. So the group ends up leaving because they do the runway show. Wonderful. They see Kiki. Kiki's so happy. I think Kiki's happy for a combination of reasons. All the ladies were there, but also because all the ladies were there, we're going to get to see her runway show and see her life. And I think part of her frustration in the sprinter when everyone is leaving one by one. And at first I had to rewind the tape. I was like, were they waiting for hours? Were they waiting in that sprinter for hours? I mean, the traffic looked bad, but it was like 10 minutes later and everyone's making an excuse to leave except Julia and Adriana. So I really did feel for Kiki. And I think part of what it was is that maybe this next scene was supposed to be filmed, but because everyone left, it wasn't shared. We have to keep that in mind. Some of what these ladies are fighting about is not about what they're actually fighting about. It's about the show. It's about being seen. It's about having a scene. And I feel like that was pretty foul. But as someone that likes to go home, I can't blame them. Look, we have to keep in mind that these ladies went to Julia's runway show. Then they went to Kiki's. But they left. It was daylight by the time this whole thing was over. It was nighttime. I don't know how many hours had passed. But I was tired for them. I was like, I would much rather go home. I'm happy for you, Kiki. I don't care about an after party. And for those that want me to have an after party for the Kempire After Dark show, no, I'm going home. I am going home. Just saying. Just saying. Especially because the New York City show is at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going home after that show. Okay. Anyways, guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the videos. An easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. And if you're listening to this, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on the Kempire podcast. All right. So Kiki says she's going to confront them about it later. We are sure. So we have this next scene with Alexia and Julia at her farm. We're getting to see more of her farm. Alexia is like scared of all the animals and the bugs. But this is where Alexia mentions that we're going to do a group trip and we're going to go to Mexico City. And she talks about the saint that she prayed to after Frankie's accident. So she wants to take Guerdy to Mexico City and pray for her there. And I was like, you know what? That's really nice, Alexia. Look, that's really, really nice. And I'm excited for this trip. And based off the preview from this episode of the trip, the girls are still bringing it in all the way until the end. All the way until the end. We are going to another place. I just wish that, and I get it. I guess it's the budget. Look at Beverly Hills. They're going to Spain, and there's nothing wrong with Mexico. I know a lot of people that go to Mexico and they love it. I just want to leave this hemisphere, or go to South America, but. Can we leave this hemisphere? Just saying. But I get it. It's budgets. It's budgets. All right. Anyways, so we have that scene with Julia and Alexia. Again, they're forming their own friendship. They're really enjoying each other. Alexia gives Julia her props for doing what she's been doing, stepping out of her box and doing the modeling and other things. All right. I'm not falling for it, Alexia, but all right. All right. Alexia then calls Larsa because Larsa is in the middle of filming and recording her podcast, Separation Anxiety, with Marcus Jordan. Okay, Alexia calls Larsa to tell her about the Mexico City trip. Wonderful. And then they talk about them, she's going to be gone for 5 days. Marcus, how are you going to deal with that? Apparently he's going to Paris for a men's fashion week. I still don't understand what he does. I think on Traders, didn't they say that he was a fashion influencer or something like that? I think this boy is lost. I think he's a Nepo baby. He's lost. He doesn't know what he wants to do. But okay, I'm not going to say anything. He definitely has style. But I find his voice, I don't think he's... Anyways, let me leave Marcus alone. Marcus, you came on a reality show, so buckle up, okay? We're going to have opinions on you, all right? But I look at him, I'm just like, okay, Marcus. He seems as smart as Larsa. Actually, Larsa seems like the smarter one in this relationship. I'm just saying. She seems like the smartest one in this relationship, and that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot. Anyways, they filmed their podcast. We don't care. We don't care about this fake relationship. I don't know what the end game is here, and even if it's not a fake relationship, it's not an interesting relationship. It's like watching two shallow individual. I don't even know what to look. Y'all want me to say something nice? I can't. Look, I'm trying to. I don't care about this scene. I don't care about their podcast. Their podcast sounds cringy, and I'm not even talking about what they're talking about. It's their voices between Larsa's and his. I'm like, maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I'm hungry. No, I said this last week. He's like, and I'm like, just like that. I get doofy from Marcus, and we already get like shallow and not much there from Larsa, but we do find out in the scene. Basically, she's willing to have another kid. She has 11 eggs, and they flash back to showing a scene from Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Remember, Keeping Up with the Kardashians was on E. It's owned by NBC Universal, which owns Bravo. So this is how they're able to get the footage. So they show that scene, and I know you're probably like jump scared because like, who's that woman? It was Larsa, okay? Before she started doing all this stuff to herself. Not even before, just like she was like in between. But apparently Larsa has 11 eggs that she did during that time. She just was thinking futuristically in regards to maybe if she want to have more kids. So she's giving Marcus a year to figure out what he wants to do. So I guess that'll be their storyline next season. Oh, we might want to have a baby, but we're not going to go through with it. Okay. I'm sure Michael Jordan wants his kids to have kids because I don't think Marcus has any kids at this point. Which is pretty good when you think about it. Like, okay, at least he wasn't, spreading the seed everywhere. Just saying. Look, just saying. Anyways, so Guerdy has her surgery. She's at home, and she's playing card games with Russell and her son, and then she gets a call from Alexia, and this is where we have another emotional scene with Guerdy and finding out that Guerdy had to go through another test, which the test says that it's more than likely she's going to have to go through chemotherapy because it's an indicator on whether or not or how likely she will end up getting the cancer. The cancer will come back. So Alexia is trying to be positive in that moment, but Guerdy is just like, this is not good. It puts me in the chemo zone. So she gets really emotional, and Alexia says, I would love it for you to come to Mexico City. I want to take you to the saint that I prayed for Frankie. And you can see in Guerdy's eyes that, she's really upset. And again, last week I mentioned, remember, we were introduced to Guerdy. She came through Alexia on the show. I believe that they did have a little bit of a friendship, maybe a more professional friendship before the show. So it's kind of nice to see Alexia be there for Guerdy during this time. Remember, in the seating chart, next to Guerdy is Alexia. So that is a very different than what we got last season. So I like seeing this friendship kind of rekindle itself this season and how much Alexia has been there for Guerdy. But I have to say, I did get emotional watching that scene because you just watching Guerdy go through this and just like there's so much happening, so much more that happened that we didn't see, and we're seeing it be documented on the show. Again, at BravoCon, Guerdy revealed that she is cancer-free, which is great. But the journey to get there wasn't an easy one. So I'm believing that Guerdy does end up going on the Mexico City trip, which I think is going to be nice. Based off the preview, it seems like it's going to be a lot. But before we get there, Adriana walks in. I'm thinking this is, Carol, did you do this outfit? I liked it though. I don't know. We have to remember, Adriana's a woman of a particular age. She looks great. The body was bodying. Do I love the outfit? Not necessarily, but I have to say when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's a choice. Not a bad choice. We've seen her look bad in like earlier seasons, but this wasn't a bad choice. I think she was trying to give us a look for filming and for meeting with Emilio Estefan, the husband to Gloria Estefan and a music producer who's produced for all kinds of people. I noticed how Adriana mentioned all these other people he's produced for, but she didn't mention Gloria. I was like, his biggest artist is Gloria Estefan. All right. So she goes in the studio because she's working on a song that was meant for Camila Cabello. And she's recording it. Look, is she a great singer? No. Can she make a catchy tune? Yes. She's going to perform in Mexico City. She mentions that she's going to Mexico City. Emilio thinks it's a great idea. He has contacts. He's going to get you hooked up so you can do an international performance. Good for her. A lot of people like Faya. We like Faya. We sing it at the top of every episode. Good for Adriana. Is she going to be the next pop star? I don't know if she really wants to be the next pop star. I think if she could, she would. But she's an okay singer. She's got catchy tunes. Let her have her fun. Look, let her have her fun. It's not like Adriana isn't very smart in a lot of different ways. Speaks multiple languages. It works in the industry. She's got multiple degrees. She's a smart woman. I think she's trying to have fun here. I think this chapter of her life, she's trying to be a star. Okay? So we have that scene, and then we get a preview about Mexico City. That's coming up next week. And Lisa, you are giving such Karen-esque vibes. You are so annoying. When oh my God, did Kiki throw something at her or say so? I forgot what happened in that scene, y'all. But the way that, and mind you, Lisa's been doing this even when Guerdy was mad at her and she was leaving the party. She was like, "Don't yell at me." Don't. She's like, I don't even know how to describe it. I can't even say. It's more like a kid. It's not even an adult. Don't yell at me. Her throwing a tantrum. She's emotionally immature, Lisa. And you know we love our Lisa. But I have to say, this last season, it's really like her Alexia season, where it's just like she's not likable. She's annoying. These constant tantrums. Her elevating a situation when I felt like her friends were looking out for her. That's why I feel like Lisa has a lot to answer for at this reunion, and I feel like she should have been next to Andy, and she did have some issues with Guerdy as well. But anyways, I guess we will have to wait and see on how this reunion ends up or how the season ends up. But the Mexico City trip looks interesting, it looks entertaining. I mean, I'm here for it, and I'm here for it. We're getting so much more of Kiki this season, and especially in this episode, we really got to know Kiki and her journey and things like that. And I love seeing the Haitian pride between Guerdy and Kiki during her swim week, runway show. It's not. I have to say, Miami is consistent. I know some people do not like Miami, a small handful, not us, but for the most part, it's a consistent city. Is it having a dynamic season like Salt Lake City? Yeah, honestly, I had to point that out. I had to think for myself. No, if anything, if you really think about it, because so many people have so many things going on, as a cast, Miami is far better than Salt Lake City. Because like I said, without Monica and this reality Von T situation, everyone else's personal story is lackluster in Salt Lake City. But in Miami, we have Lisa's story, we've got Guerdy's story, we've got Alexia and maybe her financial issues, we've got Marisol and her issues with Anna, Adriana getting involved. Like, there's a lot going on with this cast. A lot. All right? Even Julia. So there's a lot happening with this cast. And Nicole, Dr. Nicole. So Miami as a cast, I could see them moving forward with the same cast. Would you add anybody else to this cast? I still feel like they need someone that's going to come in there and shake things up. And then Adriana is a good shaker-upper. But it would be interesting to add to this cast. But as a cast, there's a lot going on. So it will be interesting to see what direction Miami goes in season 7. But they've been having a strong season. What is the season? They went season 4, season 5, season 6. And they had a huge gap in between season 3 and season 4. And I feel like they came back better than ever because, to be honest with you, I know some of you liked season 2 and 3, but I felt like that's where it was starting going, hence why they were canceled. But now they're back, and I feel like they're better than ever. I like everyone on this cast. And when I say I like everyone, it doesn't mean that I would be friends with them. I mean, as a producer in my head, I think it's a good cast. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of this reunion. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what these reunion looks are going to give. Guerdy usually always brings it at these reunions. So there's a lot to live up to. And as always, we will be talking about them. Guys, don't forget, you can listen to our podcast, Kempire, where you can hear an audio version of this live recap, but also additional episodes, like the episode that we dropped yesterday in regards to Beverly Hills recap, but also a special episode of Tamar Braxton versus Jessie Woo. So be sure to check that out. And today we dropped a special episode in regards to my Japan trip. That's a nice, long, good one for you. So be sure to check that out. And while you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. All right? Thank you to everyone for being here. Shout out to our King's Guard. Shout out to our channel members. To become a channel member, head on over to TheKempire.com/join. And if you are in the New York City area, Get your tickets for the Kempire After Dark show happening next Thursday here in New York City. But if you are in the Washington, D.C. area, we will be in that area at Union Stage on February 16th. Go get your tickets over there if you haven't already. Meet and greets are still available in both locations, but they're running out fast. Thank you to everyone that's purchased a ticket already. I look forward to meeting all of you in those prospective cities. Stay tuned for more cities to be announced. All right. Thank you all for being here. Let's get out of here. I will see you guys later. Bye, everybody.